Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. I think that is the high point right there.
I would like
my own jingle before.
I would like them to play that for your next for your next speech on the House floor.
Yes.
Okay. I'll see if I can have that background music in the committee.
Mr. Chairman, you know you and I emailed privately, and I sent you the quote from Martin Sheen. He said, "Please tell Chairman Schiff that one heart with courage is a majority." And we've just never been prouder of you. You were brilliant, and thank you for that. You spoke for so many millions of Americans on the House floor.
Thank you very much. I am really grateful for the words of encouragement from you and from others, and support from people around the country. I think, for 2 years now, people have been watching this spectacle, this deeply unethical man in the Oval Office, and from time to time they've asked themselves, am I the only one who thinks that this is just not right, that this is just appalling, in fact? And I think what may have resonated about it is people's recognition that they're not alone, that this is not normal, that we can't ever accept the idea that this kind of behavior by a president is somehow now okay.
I have personally ordered 5 separate "I Stand with Schiff." It may be okay with you, it's not okay with me T-shirts, but let's not dwell on that. You must be hardened, Mr. Chairman. There are so many polls out, Washington Post, NPR, I'm sure you've seen all these, NPR, CBS, Quinnipiac, up into the 84% high for the American people who demand to see the Mueller report, who stand with you. I don't even know where to start. I have so many questions for you. So how do you think this is going to play out? Obviously, today was the deadline. It does not seem they're going to meet it. If they are subpoenaed, what happens next?
Well, I imagine that a lot depends on just how dug in the Attorney General and the President are. I mean, clearly Bill Barr is doing the President's bidding here. The President at one point said that he wanted the report released, and he was all for it. Of course, he's now apparently singing a different tune, and they're going to try to redact as much as they can. Bill Barr, when he was at his Senate confirmation, promised that he would be as transparent as possible with this report, as law and policy would allow. And instead of doing that, he is seeking to redact all the grand jury material, which could be very extensive, and instead of following the precedent in Watergate of requesting the court's approval to release that to Congress and country. So he's not living up to what he promised during his confirmation. He is only living up to his promises in one respect, and that is he promised the president that if he got the job in that 19-page legal diatribe, that he would oppose any kind of obstruction case that Mueller may have found evidence to bring, and he has certainly lived up to that commitment. And I think shame on the Senate for confirming him without getting a commitment that he would recuse himself from a part of the investigation he had such an obvious bias against.
Mr. Chairman, help us understand, though. Don't you have a constitutional duty and a constitutional right with your clearance to see, several of you, to see the complete unredacted report?
We certainly have the right to see the whole report, and we will subpoena the report if necessary, and it looks increasingly like that's going to be necessary. We can work to get court approval in terms of the grand jury material. There's no basis whatsoever for withholding classified information in the report from the Congress. We get that every day on our committee. And the Justice Department's newfound sensitivity towards people who are not the subject of indictment doesn't seem to have been the case for the last 2 years when we provided 880,000 pages of discovery, predominantly in an investigation, the Clinton email investigation, which no one was indicted. And they didn't think that the private text messages between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok were too private. They were more than happy to publish those.
Exactly.
So this kind of double standard isn't going to stand. We're going to demand transparency, and they'd be better off not fighting it.
Chairman Schiff, I have so many, and plus 1,000 people have given me questions to ask you. Boy, so much to get to. Will you subpoena Mueller? I mean, I hate to say it. You've known me a long time, Mr. Chairman. I'm not conspiratorial, but this administration has given us no reason to trust anything. Will you subpoena Mueller? Will you ask him, was this a backdoor firing? Was he shut down prematurely? Will you ask him, is this your complete unredacted report? I just don't trust this White House with anything right now. Do you?
I don't. I certainly don't trust the White House, and given that the Attorney General refused to commit to following the advice of ethics lawyers, I don't think we can place any confidence in his objectivity. That's pretty plain. Look, I think it's inevitable that Mueller's going to come and testify. I think it's going to be very necessary, and he may come before multiple committees. He may come before the Judiciary Committee to talk about the decisions in terms of indictment or non-indictment, and was he really intending to defer to the Attorney General, who had demonstrated such a clear bias on the obstruction case? And we may want to have him come before our committee to testify about something that may not even be in the report, and that is the investigation began not as a criminal investigation,
Thank you.
but as a counterintelligence investigation into whether anyone was acting wittingly or unwittingly as an agent of a foreign power, that is, an agent of Russia. And we still haven't gotten the findings of that investigation, and by law, the intelligence community and FBI are required to fully brief us on any significant intelligence or counterintelligence activity, and it's hard to imagine one more significant than this. So, I think it's all but inevitable that Mueller will testify, and he may testify before multiple committees.
Yeah, and I think those are questions the American people want to know. Were you shut down prematurely? Is this your full report? Was anything redacted? Because as you say, you have the right to see the entire thing. And as you say, the counterintelligence portion, we don't know. Is that still ongoing? Correct?
That's exactly right. I can't discuss what I know about the investigation. We do know that Andy McCabe has said publicly that there was a counterintelligence investigation opened of not just the people that were originally the subject of that, but extended to the president as well. So those results we still haven't seen, and indeed they may not be part of the Mueller report. The Mueller report really is a report, as I understand it, and none of us have seen it except Mr. Barr. But I believe that it is a report that discusses his prosecutorial decisions. We indicted these people for these reasons. We found we couldn't establish either a criminal conspiracy as to these people, or we decided, even though there was evidence of obstruction of justice, to let the Congress decide what the consequences should be. That may be the nature of his report, but we'll know it when we see it. And if the counterintelligence aspect is not discussed, then we're going to need to get those findings as well.
Well, and it seems clear to me that he meant this for Congress to decide. I think that you're absolutely right. That is a key question to say, did you intend for Bill Barr to step in and make this decision? If you cannot indict a sitting president, then it is for Congress to decide.
I mean, that really seems
Correct?
like the most suspect part of the Barr memo. I mean, a lot of it is suspect. In fact, the mere existence of it is suspect. If he wanted to give Congress a summary, I'm sure that Mueller has his own executive summary for a 300 to 400 page document. Why didn't he just produce Bob Mueller's summary? But in any event, the most suspect part of it to me was the conclusion, which was Barr's, and we don't know whether it was Mueller's, that because Mueller, after 2 years, found evidence that did not exonerate the president, but on the issue of obstruction of justice, but also made a decision not to indict, that somehow this was forcing a decision on Bill Barr or Rod Rosenstein.
Right.
There's nothing in the Barr memo that makes that self-apparent or even logical, for that matter. Rosenstein, after all, was involved in writing the memo that was used as a pretext for firing James Comey. So he doesn't seem like the right party to be making a final judgment on the obstruction case. But certainly Bill Barr, who wrote that 19-page legal argument against the obstruction case, I'm not sure I can understand why Mueller would decide after 2 years he's the right guy.
Right.
We'll know when we see the report, and this is why it's so important that the public see that report.
And quickly, Chairman, I know we're running out of time here. So they said they did not establish a criminal conspiracy between Trump's team and the Russian government. That seems awfully narrow, as if, like, the only bar is there an email between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump? Whereas, as you've said, we've all seen collusion. I mean, that may not raise, to beyond a reasonable doubt, the criminal bar, but I mean, clearly as you so brilliantly laid out in Congress, we've seen ample evidence of collusion, haven't we?
Well, that's exactly right. And, if the Republicans don't see what I itemized in committee the other day as evidence of collusion, they must have a different word for it, because it's certainly, I think, what most people think of as that corrupt, meeting of interests that we describe as collusion. And, I've said all along that whether Mueller could prove beyond reasonable doubt a criminal conspiracy is a separate question.
Right, and we all know, by the way, the Deripaska and the oligarchs are the Russian government. We know that WikiLeaks is a Russian government. That's what it seems very narrow that they're. So let me quickly, obviously, your intelligence committee, Gerald Nadler, is judiciary. So you obviously have different purviews here. I just wanted to get your reaction. Lawrence Tribe, the Harvard law professor, said, memo to Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler. You should promptly ask the federal court that impaneled Mueller's grand jury to authorize release of the grand jury materials to Congress. There's ample authority to do exactly that. What's your reaction to that?
I think he's absolutely right. And we'll pursue whatever remedies we have, including going to the district court to make sure that we get that grand jury material and that we can make it available to the public so they can see, what they paid for in this investigation by Bob Mueller. If, the president is so confident about what's in this report, as he purports to be, then let him instruct his attorney general to make it all public. He could easily do that, but of course he's not. He's trying to hide behind his hand-picked Roy Cohn, Mr. Barr.
Yeah.
But that information is going to come out. The more they try to obstruct it, the more I think the public is going to demand to see it.
Quickly, the reporter asked Bill Barr if he'd comply with a subpoena from the Democrats. He laughed and said, we'll have to follow the law. They can call you all the names they want, juvenile names. They can sell T-shirts. We can laugh at the Saturday Night Live thing with about the redactions, but this is not funny. And, it is not funny to a lot of Americans. And I just can't thank you enough for, the way you're maintaining your dignity and amid all of this. Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate it. And, let me just say where we are right now, and we're only 2 years into this administration. But we're now in a place where a president under investigation can fire the FBI director who's conducting it in the hopes of making it go away. He can fire his attorney general for not protecting him better. He can hire a new attorney general who's already demonstrated a clear bias against the investigation. And that new attorney general doesn't have to commit to following the advice of ethics lawyers and can run interference for that president. That is a precedent now that is so contrary to what we established post-Watergate, but we're going to have to live with, and we're only halfway through this administration. So,
yep.
This is a time I think all of us have got to fight to defend our democratic institutions.
Yep. Chairman Schiff, I know I went way long. Your people are already mad at me, but I want everyone to know you are in the Walk and Chew Gum caucus because you had a major healthcare conference today. You did the you introduced Rim of the Valley Corridor Preservation Act out here to preserve zillions of acres of the Santa Monica Mountains. The Los Angeles River restoration. So you are doing, I don't know, you are doing a lot. I need some help with the coyotes at night, keeping me and my dogs up. Maybe there's some Ambien for coyotes program you could.
I must be doing something right to have my own jingle now.
Yes, you are.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for staying long with us and just we got your back. Thank you so much. We're so proud of you. Chairman Adam Schiff. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes.